What's going on, guys? It is me, Tyson the Trainer. Hello, back with another video for you. No, not another video. What's this called? A podcast. Those of you watching, well, technically, it is a video. For those of you listening, I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, it is fucking a podcast. So today we're going to be talking about Chrissy time because guess what? Thickmas Christmas is here. And I fucking love Thickmas because you get to eat a lot of food. Now, this is going to be a carry on from last week, which I've already talked to you guys about. Stopping dieting before Christmas. If you haven't listened to that one, go back and listen to it, please, because it's going to put you in a fucking good headspace. And you can tell yourself, nah, I'm going to diet till Christmas. I'll be fine. I'm better. Whatever you think you are, you ain't, all right? Tell yourself all you fucking want that you can diet through Christmas. But then guess what? How'd you go last year with that? Did you stick to it or did you not? Because basically it's like tempting fate when you're trying to diet through Christmas. And it's like, how big does your ego need to be that you can't even fucking acknowledge that maybe we just have to learn to take a break from dieting in Christmas time and try something different. How fucking bizarre to try something different, right? Because I was like, I was someone who was egotistical for 4 years or 5 years, thinking that this year is going to be different. This year I'm not going to binge. This year I'm going to do this, Like one of the years where I'm like, I'm going to fast for 3 days or 2 days, whatever it was, Not eat anything, just black coffee and water for 2 days or whatever beforehand. Sorry, I'm getting a call. I apologize about that. Someone trying to call and cut me off. Anyways, so talking about that with, me having the 2 day fast and being like, oh, this time's going to be different. Like, as if the fast was going to do anything different except for, I don't know, create worse habits for myself, which it did. So sometimes we have to have a little bit of fucking humble tea and learn to accept that when someone's telling us something, that they might just be right. Right? Right. All right, so you finished dieting on the 4th or the 12th, ideally the 4th, okay? Did I say the 4th or the 12th? Is that right? I think it's the 4th. But yes, whenever you've stopped dieting, basically at least 2 weeks beforehand would be ideal, okay? So you've gone to your Christmas parties, you're enjoying yourself, you decide whether you're going to drink at all of them, whether you're going to decide to drink at some of them, whatever the fuck it's going to be. You're maintaining good habits for the most part. Now here comes Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's, all that type of shit. This is where the nerves start coming out for people. Well, for myself anyways, is when I start to get nervous. Because I think about all the good food and I think about, I'm like, oh fuck, like, how am I going to control myself? Or, like you try and play out scenarios in your head, like, oh, maybe my auntie's going to bring this and my cousin's going to bring this and fuck, like, I hope mum makes this year. And you just go in nervous, right? The issue with that is getting too much in your head is an issue because now you're not going to be present with what's actually going to be happening during the day. Because the goal of Christmas is obviously to enjoy some food. Like, fuck, I want to enjoy food, obviously. But it's about spending time with friends, family, whoever you're going to be with, It's quite important that it's not about just the food. It's about the whole day in itself and Christmas Eve and all that other stuff. And so the biggest thing you can work on is reducing your anxiety around that time and trying to be more present in the moment. For me, with Christmas time, I've just found out I'm not going to be spending Christmas with my family. I'm going to be spending Christmas, quote unquote, at the start of December. And like, the older we get, we don't know how much longer our family's going to be around, You guys know, for those of you who've listened, like about my auntie, I don't know how much longer my auntie's going to be around, let alone my mum and dad, right? And so when I'm with them, I try to not be on my phone at all. I want to be present with them. I want to enjoy the time with them because my dad's 60, my mum's in her late 50s. So, I've got a few years, but like dad's getting old, right? Every year, I might see my family for 2 or 3 times, if that, if I'm lucky. So if we think average age 80, okay? So we've got 20 years to see my dad and there's 3 times each year, give or take. That's like, what, 60 more times? 60 more fucking times in my life that I could potentially get to see them. That's not a large number, right? Not a large number at all. Going from seeing them every single day as a kid from basically 0 to 18, give or take, right? To now seeing them 2 or 3 times a year, that's a big difference. And so the time with them is important. Making memories with them is important. Because every time I do see them too, they're getting older. I can physically see it and it fucking breaks me. Because I'm like, man, like it's not fun seeing your parents and everyone get older, but that is life. And so thinking about what are your intentions when you're going to be spending time with Christmas with, again, some of you can't spend time with your family. It might be friends, it might be loved ones, it might be whoever it is, with your partner. Spend time with them. You know, use this as a time to enjoy the day. How will you make memories? Are you going to play games? You're going to play cricket? You're going to, whatever you're going to do, like, I don't care. You're going to sit and watch Christmas movies all day? Doesn't matter what you do, but be present there. And if the more you can focus on being present, the less your anxiety is actually going to be around. Because anxiety is about thinking about the future for the most part. Like that's what creates anxiety, is that we're projecting in our head scenarios that may or may not happen. We create things, and that's what gets us things like, oh, fuck. So it's like, you know, food's coming at you like, oh, fuck, am I going to binge this food? You haven't done the thing yet, but you're causing anxiety because you're thinking about the future. But the more you can work on being present, anxiety's not going to be there. And a good way, it's not like a black and white change, but if you can take 5 big breaths when you start to notice a little bit of panic coming on, it can bring you back to the moment, okay? So firstly, you know, enjoying time with whoever you're with on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, whatever that's going to be, all right? Then there's going to be food, okay? The best thing you can do when you go to eat is to, like I tell you guys in another podcast about chewing your food is going to be important, but actually tasting your food. Because there's going to be fucking delicious food. Like I love prawns, you know, typical Aussie Christmas. We have prawns, right? For most people, whatever you guys have. But it's like, taste the food. Don't fucking scoff it down. Because again, we're like, oh man, there's so much food here, I want to get it all in. And you literally like inhale your fucking food in. You don't taste it. Same as when we binge sometimes, you know, if you binge at nighttime, you never taste the food. You just fucking suck it in. And whenever you can slow yourself down to taste the food and slow down to eat, guess what happens? Brings your heart rate back down, brings your breathing back down, brings you back into the moment, stops you from panicking. The amount of times when I started to get out of my eating disorder, you know, to fix the problem was when I could keep coming back to my breath, or when somehow, like sometimes it doesn't happen straight away, but the more you try to remind yourself to taste the food, I would just stop overeating because I'm like, oh, I'm actually going to taste the food. Like, it's weird because it brings you back into like presence, you know? When people say, oh, I just felt like I lost control and it wasn't me anymore, it's because you're not present in that moment. Because you look back when you've, you know, overeaten, did you ever taste any of the food? No. All you think is about before and after. You don't think about that moment when you're in there. So when you start to panic or you start to focus a little bit too much on food, or you're like getting scared, start to chew the food more, start to focus on your breathing, you know, and think about the taste of the food. Think about the taste of the food. Because again, if you're going to binge eat the food, if you're going to go over, wouldn't you rather enjoy the taste of it versus the stress of just eating it for the sake of eating it and then not even getting to enjoy your Christmas food? Like I say, I love my mum's trifle. Those times that I binge eat it, I don't even remember the taste of the fucking trifle. Because I was just like mouthful after mouthful, handful after handful, like in my fucking gob, not enjoying the taste because I'm stressing about how much I'm eating. And then I'm like giving myself an anxiety because I'm like, oh man, my calories are going to be so high today. Oh, like I'm not going to be able to stop myself. What trifle, basically, you know? And I know it sounds weird, but if you can take a step back and really focus on the taste of the food, I can almost guarantee you it's going to stop you from overeating that time. All right? Now, again, Christmas is a time for indulging. I'm going to indulge, right? So the way we also do this is we always start with our food being relatively healthy, okay? Oh, Ty, that's so boring. It's Christmas Day. I want to eat whatever I want. Okay, go eat whatever the fuck you want. If you don't have issues around food, if you don't struggle like when you come up to these events, don't worry about this advice. You're fucking sweet. Like, you're perfect. My partner, she's like that. There's no issue for her around Christmas. She doesn't give a fuck what she's eating, but she also doesn't stuff herself to the brim where she can't control herself anymore. She has this weird thing called internal cues that she knows when to stop. Don't know how she figured that out, you know, fucking God forbid that she just has a normal person, whereas me having to control myself all the time. You know, she's one of those people that have to think about it. And probably most of your friends or family don't think about the shit that you do, but that's why I'm creating this podcast for you, for the people who do struggle. All right? And the way we do this, first meal, first plateful, just make it like basically protein and plants, like I always say. There's always going to be a salad there somewhere, I'm assuming, for you guys, or like, some type of veggie mix, a fucking veggie bake or something. And there's always going to be a lean protein. We're in fucking Australia. There's most likely going to be a lean protein. Is it seafood? Is it roast chicken? Is it beef? Like, we are the weirdest. My family's the weirdest family. Because, like, sometimes everyone comes back to Townsville. We have a barbecue at the back, so Dad will do steaks and stuff on the barbecue. But then we have prawns, and then we have roast chicken from Woolies. Like, we have, like, all the different, like, protein sources, I guess you would say, because everyone's kind of picky. But if you get the freedom like that, of, like, where you have all your protein sources and shit, just go for that first. Like, literally plants and protein for your first main plate, all right? Chew your food, enjoy it. Have a drink. Have a drink. That is obviously a beverage. Usually carbonated. Coke Zero. Do you want a wine? Do you want a beer? I don't know what the fuck you want to do. It's Christmas Day, Choose whatever you want, but having something to drink, like I've talked about in the other podcast about keeping full, will help. Sipping between your meals, sipping between your bites, chewing your food, and then also talk to the people who you're eating with. Make conversation. Pause between bites, chat some shit, then eat again. Right? Be a normal person. Right? It's so funny because when you look at how other normal people eat, I keep going back to my partner because it's so funny that like I talk to all you guys about this fitness stuff. She takes care of her fitness, but she's not like into her fitness, which I think is fantastic because she's taught me actually to be less neurotic over time. And one of the things is like when I watch her eat, it gives me talk about anxiety, it gives me anxiety watching her eat. Because when she's with friends and stuff, she'll have a mouthful, then she'll talk and start telling stories and stuff. Then she might have a drink, then she might have another mouthful, then she'll get caught up in conversation and telling stories and stuff. Meanwhile, I'm like eating all my food and I'm like watching her and I'm like, well, I fucking finished my food like 20 minutes ago, babe. What are you doing? And she's still, I'm like, and like I start to think in my head, your food's cold. Are you even going to eat that food anymore? And then she still eats it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? That's what normal people do. They converse, they take smaller bites and stuff like that. They drink their drink between hand. Try and be normal. Like honestly, you try and be like a normal person and you're like, oh, right, this is why. When I say normal, not overweight people, right? No, people who are able to manage their weight quite well and aren't food focused. They just they do things that with the behaviors we're trying to replicate, basically. And so when you chew your food, and then you pause, and then you have chats with people, and then you drink your drink, and then you have another bite, it'll take longer, and like we've talked about, your stomach will start to fill up. And that's just the first plate. You're going to want 2 or 3 more plates. So your second plate is where you get to add a little bit of fun food in there, right? For me, I always go potato bake next because Mum makes the best fucking potato bake. I chew potato bake and then I'll just choose another extra bit of protein. Just because I like the taste of like the protein sources. Like prawns, I'll fucking eat them all day, every day. I don't care about prawns. Big juicy steak, no fucking worries. Woolies cooked chook, yes please. Like for me, that's all sweet. So the next plate, not as much leafy green vegetables. Load up the fucking potato bake for me, and then also having another protein source, all right? Same thing. Chat shit, converse, do whatever. I'm probably going to be full by then. After two things. And then we probably we'll go up and do something. So we'll go wash the dishes, the family will go to the living room and maybe play a fucking board game or something. We don't really play cricket because no one likes cricket in my family. Or we might go for a walk. We always go for a walk, take the fat dog that Mum's got. She has given this dog. This dog is treated like a queen. So she's got a dachshund. And so we'll take her down to the park. We'll all go for a walk and talk as a family. And then probably come back and have dessert later. Or maybe we'll have dessert and then we'll go, right? And our Christmas is like Christmas lunch. We don't really do a Christmas dinner. So we just have leftovers for dinner. But we're basically fucking full after lunch. And then do whatever and then dinner time. And this is the important thing, right? If you're stuffed at lunch or whatever it is, and then, you're going to have dinner and you're still kind of full, learn to be in tune with your hunger. okay? Because what would usually happen is we would have lunch and I would be stuffed, okay? And then an hour later, I'd be like, I can fit a little bit more in my mouth. A little bit. Have a little bit of dessert. And then an hour later, a little bit more. And then an hour later, oh, I can try a little bit. And then I'll be laying on the couch. It's like 3 p.m. I'm like, fuck, I'm so stuffed. I'm in pain. I'm in pain. Like my stomach's like, fuck. And then it's like dinner time. And I'm like, oh, I don't, like half of me's like, I don't want to have dinner. And the other half's like, yes. And then somehow I managed to fit in more potato bake, you know, and more. And then I start to go for dessert. And like, I don't know where it's going because my stomach is basically like, we got to go to the hospital. And somehow I'm finding places in my mouth and my somewhere in my stomach to find a little air pocket where food's gonna go in, basically. But there's a difference between that uncontrollable stuffing yourself versus, yeah, you're pretty full for Christmas and you went a little bit overboard, but you fucking kept it on track, you know? Again, being a normal person, everyone usually overeats at Christmas. The difference is what I do compared to my mum and my dad and my brothers, you know? They're all full. They're not touching any more food. They're going to lay down, they have a nap, they might watch some TV. Again, we go for a walk. They're not thinking about any more food. But here's me running like fucking things in the background, thinking about all the food that I'm going to have later, or how many calories that just was. Like all that stuff that's just ticking along in the back of my head that's not good at all for me. Like, you know, it's not good for, that wasn't good for me a good time. And I'm just trying to encourage you guys, like, be a normal person. So if you overindulge on that day, but it's having an indulgent lunch, having an indulgent dinner versus starting at breakfast and not being able to stop until that night, that is a big win, okay? Because again, you can indulge a little bit on Christmas time. Who gives a fuck? It's about indulging, not binging, okay? So you've had your lunch or your dinner or whatever it is, and you've gone for a walk and you've got to enjoy some time with your family. Then just go and enjoy the day and go and distract yourself. The more you can keep busy, the better it's going to be. The better it's going to be for you not to focus on food. Play with some of the shit you've got. I don't get toys. I get fucking, what do I get? Jocks and socks from mum every year and a deodorant kit still, you know? I'm like, do I still stink that bad that I fucking need a deodorant kit? Like, I thought we were past this, but apparently not. Maybe I just still do stink. But, you know, doing those things, keeping yourself distracted is going to be important. So as long as you follow those rules of being present, breathing before you start to eat, you know, calm yourself down, 5 big breaths, starting with plants and protein, then going to a little bit more indulgent food. And if you end up going for third plate, go for third plate, who cares? But again, once you start to get nervous, start to breathe. Just try and remind yourself, oh, I just got to breathe. 5 breaths, 5 breaths. And if you notice you start to get too anxious, get up and go and do something, okay? Because if you can get up and go and distract yourself and go and do something else that's getting you away from what's making you anxious, you're going to feel okay. Remove yourself from the food. Go and do something else, right? Again, the best thing to do is to distract yourself somehow. Distraction will help, right? That's Christmas Day. Boxing Day, you're probably going to have leftovers. Same thing. Do the exact same thing you did on Christmas Day. If you indulge on Boxing Day, again, it's 2 fucking days. It's about having an indulgence. It's not about binging, okay? We're just trying to change your mentality around the food, and so you can enjoy it without having that guilt or anything like that. Every normal person also feels like guilt after they've fucking eaten that much food because they're full as fuck, right? The difference is those people feel guilt and don't continue to go down that path. The difference with us is that we do feel guilt and we want to keep somehow shoveling more food in our mouth, okay? So you do the same thing on Boxing Day, right? Enjoy yourself, have some food, whatever it's going to be. Now, here's the difference with Boxing Day. On Christmas Day, if you don't want to do your steps, you don't want to train, I don't give a fuck. Boxing Day, go for a walk, get up and do your steps, okay? If you can go to the gym and you want to go to the gym, not force yourself. If you want to go to the gym, go to the gym. I like the gym. I will go to the gym. I'm not going to the gym to do lots of cardio. I'm not going to the gym to try and fucking do 50,000 steps for the day. I'm going to train like I normally train, okay? Because I am someone who likes the gym. If you're someone who is a runner and you like to run, go and run. But do not run 60 fucking kilometers, you know? Do not try and PB and run as fast and as far as you can. Go for a normal run. Because what we're also trying to train ourselves here is not to let our emotions dictate our actions based on, you know, what's happened. It comes back to, like, when I tell clients, if they overeat, we don't cut calories the next day, okay? You don't cut calories the day after Boxing Day and don't eat for the rest of the week. Right? We do not give those behaviors that we indulged in or those things that we did, we do not give them the time of day to make us feel to dictate our future actions, right? Because the more power we give to that, the more it starts to control us. If we just acknowledge that it happened and we move forwards, we start to like somehow like trains our subconscious to be like, oh, it actually isn't that bad that we made it out to be, which is a good thing, because the more you teach yourself, the easier it gets. All right. Now here's the important thing: from the day after Boxing Day, 27th, until New Year's Eve, go back to regularity. Do your steps, eat well, train. Don't try and compensate anything. If you're naturally not as hungry, you might not be. That's really good if you're in tune with your hunger signals. Don't eat as much. Plant some protein, all right? If you're forcing yourself to starve, don't do that shit, okay? You're going to be fighting some urges there. You got to get through it, right? Then New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I don't know what your plan is. Sorry, I say New Year's Eve, not New Year's Day. Then New Year's Eve, whatever your plan is, do that, okay? I don't think New Year's Eve really involves much food. Like, do people do New Year's Eve food shit? Because like we don't. We just go to a festival, which is fine. But again, like, you know, if you want to indulge, like if you want to have some food on New Year's Eve, then do whatever you want to do. But that should be kind of not your last hurrah or your last bet, but just like the last indulgence type of thing, right? So like for us, I will not be changed. Like after the 26th, well, we're not even going to have Christmas with my family. So I don't even know what my Christmas is going to be involved in. So there's probably not going to be no leftovers. It's going to be quite sad, actually. So my Boxing Day is going to be quite regular and sad. But in saying that, whether it be I have leftovers on Boxing Day or not, from the 27th onwards, I'm just kind of tidying it back up for the most part. Again, not restricting or anything. I'm not dieting. I'm just going to eat regularly, okay? Because again, on New Year's Eve, there's no food side of things there. We go to a festival. I'm not going to drink. I'm going to partake in party substances instead. Yes, I'm open about this shit. Like, I would rather tell you guys the truth than not lie. If you're going to drink, drink. If you're not, not. Okay? Then set yourself up for a good New Year's. Okay? What do you want to do going into the new year for yourself? Because like I could think of nothing fucking worse than waking up. Sorry, my voice is going raspy. It's still a bit. How you going? Pardon me. Sorry, I think I just coughed straight into the mic too. Like, you know, for you guys, what is your, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like, what do you want to do going into the start of New Year's? How do you want to feel? Because for me, there is nothing I would hate more than to go into the start of New Year's feeling like absolute dog shit. Right? So for me, we got the festival. It ends at 12 o'clock, which I fucking love. It ends at 12 o'clock. It's 20 minutes away from my house. I'm going to walk home. We've got some friends staying with us. We're going to walk home, be home and asleep by 1 a.m. All right? I'm going to wake up at about 7 a.m. because my body doesn't let me sleep in. It's going to be January 1st. It's going to be a Sunday. I'm going to set myself up on Sunday. I don't know if things are open. I can't remember. So if not, I'm going to go food shopping on New Year's Eve to have meals prepped for Sunday, or meal prep on Sunday, sorry, to set myself up for the start. Like the first for me is set myself up for a fucking good year, okay? That's what it is. Again, if you want to go to a festival and get fucked on the first, or you know you want to do whatever, that's entirely up to you. You know, all the power to you. I just don't want to start off like that. But just knowing those intentions, you know. But the biggest thing here, you know, going back to Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, they're just the practices I want you to practice. And even though I said starting on Christmas Day, if you guys do food on Christmas Eve, do the same shit. Okay, be present in the moment. Think about spending time with people. Learn to have conversations that aren't all around food. Learn to do shit that's outside of food, and work on indulgences, not binges. Right? So, I hope that was helpful for you guys. I know it's not the longest podcast today. It's only about 23 minutes. But short, sharp, tight, concise is what I like to be. Not really. Usually I'll ramble. You guys know that. But today is a pretty good one. I'm impressing myself. So I will let you go because I'm going to need to drink some water. So you guys put it on with my raspy voice. And I know it's not Christmas yet, but I hope you guys are going to go into this Christmas and fucking enjoy it. Because there would be nothing that would make me more happy than to hear from people saying, Tice, I had a great Christmas. I had a great Christmas Eve. I had a great Christmas Day and Boxing Day because I just focused on being present. I focused on enjoying my food and I didn't binge. That would make me so fucking happy if I helped one person who's able to overcome that. Cool? Cool. Cool. All right, guys. I'll speak to you next time. Have a great day.